Okay, we are live on YouTube.
Thank Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. So we're here to talk about, there are a few community boards and the Prospect Park Alliance and some others who are hosting a, Brooklyn Parks and Open Space Conference at the end of March. They expect, representatives of every community board to be there. I intend to be there. I think you're all welcome as well.
Yes.
But it's just to kind of get all of the borough stakeholders involved in the parks together. So they can share information, the things that affect their communities, best practices that have worked for us locally, that might be, able to be done elsewhere. So today we're here to just kind of go through what they've given us, what they're looking for from us at this conference, and to just kind of brainstorm about, district needs and district concerns and things like that. But they sent us a PowerPoint that Josephine has up here that we can go through first.
Okay. Can everyone see it? Trying to move this over. Perfect. Okay. So Henry, for the committee, during the January Borough Board, there was a presentation and all the boards in Brooklyn were asked if they would consider presenting this presentation and some of their thoughts about the upcoming conference in March to the Parks Committees of the community boards. And they provided this PowerPoint, and I'll go through it really quickly. So the conference is entitled Cultivating Connections, Brooklyn Parks and Open Spaces. It's a biennial celebration of parks, community gardens, and playgrounds. It's going to take place on March 28th at the Picnic House in Prospect Park. So the community partners include the Prospect Park Alliance, as Henry said, the Borough President's Office, the Brooklyn Parks and Open Spaces Coalition, and there are 3 Brooklyn boards that are on the organizing committees. That's CB9, CB16, and CB17.
Do we know what neighborhoods those are?
So CB9 I know is Crown Heights.
Oh.
I'm not really sure 16 and 17, but we could probably find that quickly. I think we'll find it. So the expectations from community boards is to connect and learn from other districts, to find resources and community partners, derive solutions and shape borough-wide policies. They're really encouraging individual boards to kind of create our own presentation, a PowerPoint that would include the map of the community districts, green spaces, which we have. I know we have that. Parks, playgrounds, and community gardens. Our community's current concerns and challenges, and a wish list of community improvements. And 3 essential commitments would be to designate a liaison of contact, to pass a resolution by the board's February or March meeting, and to promote the conference. So I'll show in a minute, they actually provided a draft resolution for us to look at. So we could take a look at it tonight. If we want to vote on it tonight, we could do that, or we could do it at the March meeting. The conference day overview in the morning, there's going to be a welcome and opening remarks. There's going to be a presentation on the state of Brooklyn Parks. Then they're going to roll into district presentations, followed by a networking lunch. And then following lunch, participants will have the opportunity to join hands-on workshops and guided tours across Prospect Park. The sessions, the goal is to spotlight practical stewardship approaches, volunteer engagement, and on-the-ground collaboration. And we certainly have some parks volunteer groups too that we could, reach out to see if they'll be participating. And there'll be a happy hour, it says here at the end of the day. So the timeline that they established, January, they had the meeting, I think it was held later actually. In February, they're hoping that community boards can pass resolutions and begin to prepare their own, figure out what they want to do in terms of district presentations. This is January planning meetings can continue, and March is conference day.
The presentations are they're short, right? I mean, they expect
Yeah,
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, it could be 2 minutes. So I um I did pull our capital priorities list, which is very parks heavy. So, I mean, we could go through that in a minute. I mean, I'll finish this report. There's lots of priorities that we have. I mean, I don't know if we want to pick a few that are really important that we could focus on, or just give a general overview of that we have so many parks.
Right.
Even though we've had a lot of work, capital work really generously secured by funds of our, former city councilman Justin Brannan, the borough president. So we've had allotments of funds for refurbishments, especially in the last few years with Councilman Brannan has really, he did shift a lot of funds into park refurbishments. But we're very fortunate to be park rich. We still have a lot more on our wish list. Um, so it just said this is Brooklyn's moment. There's really a push, for the 18 community districts for a green future, cultivating connections, um, is more than just a conference, it's a movement. And they're really hoping that every neighborhood, participates. They really are looking at every neighborhood, every garden, every playground. So, in the packet, there's a draft resolution, there's a conference overview, there's a template, there's district mapping guidelines, information and resources. So, um, it sounded pretty interesting, and I just stopped that, Henry. I don't know if you want to go through the resolution or talk about what some of our priorities are, or just go through the handouts that they provided.
Yeah, I think, well, in that slideshow that you showed, they kind of have a very rough guidelines for what the presentation should include. Um, in terms of a map of the green spaces, like you said, I think we already
Yeah,
have that.
I'm pretty sure we have that, right?
So, and I think there are instructions in here on how we can create one, so, I don't think we really need to spend any time on that this evening. Um.
Yes, we did have it.
Oh, very nice.
I had to show everyone in the committee that we do have it. I'm sure that we have this on a poster board. It has all the parks in Brooklyn 10 that we can certainly, I don't know if you could see it on this, but we have a whole map, and I'm sure this will be available to us. It has every park and green space in District 10. So that's a good thing. And um,
Yeah, so they have a list of how to kind of break down these slides.
yeah, I'll share that.
Then
See.
there's concerns and challenges.
See. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. Okay.
It's document 3.
Oh, document 3. I'm sorry. Pull the wrong one up. Document 3. Here we go. Okay. So this says, so it's a 2-minute presentation. The overview, each of Brooklyn's 18 community boards will deliver a 2-minute presentation during the afternoon session. Showcase of your district's green spaces, share your community's voice, connect with resources, and here are the requirements. So PowerPoint, Google Slides, or PDF, 4 or 5 slides maximum. So that's really a brief.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of like one or two, you know. Um, the
Yeah.
district map is 1 slide. Parks, mark in green. Community gardens, mark in yellow. I think we have one community garden, or maybe two. Playgrounds, mark in blue, include basic statistics. We have this, the total green space acreage in the district, the number of parks, and the number of community gardens. Concerns and challenges in slide 2 or 3. a wish list and vision in slides 3 or 4, and a success story in slides 4 or 5. Highlight one thing that's working well, recent improvement or project, successful program. So it really is just 4 slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about a very broad overview here.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at concerns and challenges, I feel like, in my experience, it's twofold, and one is capital investment, and the other is the other one. What is it? Expense.
Yeah.
Expense budget. That, we need more gardeners, we need more.
Gardeners, yeah, I was gonna say gardener, like, because that's been a common thing that's always getting brought up is
Yeah,
gardeners.
because we have one, I think.
Yeah, we have one for the whole
community
community district, and we have a lot of green space, and it is frustrating. And overall maintenance, from the tree maintenance in
Yeah.
the, parks to um just making sure we take care of, equipment. And we have a lot of parkland that needs to be maintained, leaves that need to be raked,
Yeah.
Grass
that needs to be mowed. We have lots of sidewalks, especially at Shore Road Park,
Yeah.
around the perimeter of the park, that are in really bad shape. That
The fence, I was gonna say the
fences.
fence on Shore Road
Right.
is not in great shape. And the bathroom on 79th Street is open.
Yes, I would say the restrooms in our parks are in bad shape.
They're not in great shape. The one on Diker Heights is not in great shape, but it's open.
Yeah, we actually one summer, about 2 summers ago, we did with the interns in the office over the summer, we did a report to the Parks Committee of all of the restrooms in CB10, and there were pretty, we heard a lot from parents that,
Yeah,
and we continue to.
They're not in great shape, and this is something that I kind of got familiar with, oddly enough, from training for the marathons, like having to go to the bathroom when you're out.
Right.
When I was out doing these very long runs, I was like, I have to go to the bathroom right now.
Right.
Like, where do you go?
Yeah.
When they're locked, it's not great.
Right.
But also, what about that's a huge expense, but the overlook where they're gonna knock out the bathroom on Shore and like what Shore and Fourth?
And Fourth, yeah.
Because there was a pretty bad crime that took place there.
Yeah.
So that maybe is something that we want to prioritize. But
No, that's kind of a long list already, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I also feel like
there's a bullet point here about safety concerns. Which, to your point, I think it's related to kind of upgrading old infrastructure, because it's the actual physical layout of that space that invites, crime and, but then I was also thinking about like at the Dan Ross meeting that we had recently, they were talking about wanting to be able to like lock the playground at night and not being able to, and I think that was an issue at like Patrick O'Rourke
Right.
a few years ago, about which they did start locking that, right?
Yeah, and for order for parks to permit the locking of the park at night, you have to have an active volunteer group. So, over the years, we've had volunteer groups, people have retired, people have moved on. But it does help protect the park, from vandalism or, other security concerns. So cultivating in those parks that may want to do it, or there may be an interest to see if cultivating a volunteer group would be something and we've done that. The board has done that in the past with Russell Peterson Playground on Colonial Road. Dan Ross Playground is another.
Are there people on the committee on Zoom that have ideas, want to chip in, thoughts?
The other thing is the bike path also needs to be, the potholes need to be repaired. The If we knock down and make it the Overlook, weren't they gonna build bathrooms in John Paul Jones Park, Cannonball Park?
Yes, that was the plan.
But that's a
Yeah.
major capital expense.
That's right.
So, I mean, that's another thing.
Yeah, there's also a bullet point here about climate impact, which I think kind of ties into the bike path because
Yeah, the seawall is collapsing.
I mean, and that's what causes the potholes and the
Mhm.
sinkholes, and that's only going to get worse, presumably, the worse that the storms potentially get.
And there's big funds coming there, and it's just it's very expensive. And
I can imagine.
yeah. Ralph?
Yeah, I was just wondering, big picture, what do you think the purpose of this is? Is this to give everybody in the borough a picture of what's happening in other community boards? This is not replacing, like when we meet with parks to go over specific projects, is it?
No, I think, from what I heard from my colleagues is that it's an opportunity for boards and community groups to actually meet and network and hear about, perhaps how there have been some successes with cultivating volunteers in one part of Brooklyn. Maybe we haven't thought about it. Maybe some of our issues are the same. Maybe we could join together for advocacy for more funding for parks. I think it really is to network and build a movement. There was this whole, 1% of the budget for parks, and I think that
Mhm.
there are many in the community, in the parks, who are advocates who want to continue that. And this is a good way to network and build those relationships to, by district, but as a borough, to have the opportunity to meet and understand, a lot of our issues are the same. And perhaps many minds continuing to do some advocacy to continue the effort to, advocate for our local parks across the borough.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we have a lot of street trees and a lot of them are very, very old. So I don't know how they're dealing with that, or is there a plan at some point to survey them and then replace them? Some of them look like they're about to fall over.
We had a meeting last month or the
Last
month
month,
before,
yeah.
About, we got a kind of presentation of the how the street tree
Right,
program is gonna
right,
in
yeah.
a decade or so. Were you there for that?
Oh, yeah, it was actually, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I think the plan outside of emergency maintenance for like trees that are falling down or about to fall down is to, that they'll be visited in whatever, 3-year period, when the gardeners kind of do those big sweeping overhauls to not only look at where they might plant new trees, but to look at the health of the existing trees as well.
Right. But if there are trees that, we are suspicious or are concerned about, falling or not being well, we can always ask for an inspection of those trees.
yeah,
To,
yeah.
I think that's important too, that people should, if they're ever hesitant, to call 311, and we could follow up too here at the district office. We've had a few locations recently that people, were concerned about the health of a tree, and in some cases parks deemed it that they had to come down. In other cases, they said that the tree was okay, and but I think it's important to make sure we stay on top of that. I agree, Ralph. There's a lot of older trees.
A lot. We have a lot. But I think people might be hesitant to call 311 if they just see a tree on their block. People are mostly only concerned about what's happening in front of their house. So it might be good to try to outreach to the community and encourage people to do that, to kind of keep their eyes open if they
Okay,
see something
we
that
can
looks.
send a newsletter. Yeah. We can certainly do that the next meeting and through the newsletter, social
Yeah.
media. That's a good idea. Thanks, Ralph.
Yeah. Um, Some of the other bullet points here are access or equity issues, funding gaps, and programming needs. If anybody has any thoughts. I mean, I know we have, programming in the summer and the fall. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a pressing concern or challenge
No.
for CB10. I mean, not that I wouldn't welcome more programming, but and funding gaps, I mean, aside from what we talked about in the just general Parks Department, needing more gardeners, needing more maintainers.
Did you want to go through the capital list real quick to see if there's
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I did kind of skim it quick right now, and since, so much of what we're talking about are kind of broad, big picture stuff, it feels like so much of this just falls into, parks needing refurbishment and
Right.
rehabilitation, and then, comfort stations, which we mentioned, perimeter sidewalks, which we mentioned, and the promenade.
Yeah. So, I mean, too, we could mention how many we have on the parks list. I mean, from,
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at this list, it just goes on and on and
Yeah.
on and
Are
on.
we, of all the community boards, do we have the most?
I don't know, we could look at that. I mean, I'm just looking here. There are 25 parks related capital priorities
Yeah.
for our board that we've identified. So that is, probably 80% of our priority list.
I think we have the most acreage.
Yes, we,
Yeah.
that'd be
it's,
interesting.
when there are community districts that border on Prospect Park, then we can include all of Prospect Park, so. And Prospect Park is bigger than all of our parks combined, I'm pretty sure. And the same is probably true of, I don't know, maybe not Marine Park, but close. But in terms of individual parks located entirely within our community district, I would be surprised if there was another one that could rival us.
Well, we don't have any pools.
We don't.
That's true.
Is that list in priority order or just the general?
No, the list is not in priority order. It is just a list of priorities. As there was a time when we could prioritize based on, overall the not by agency, but this past year, we were allowed to just parcel out capital priorities by agency. And there were just so many, Ralph. I mean, I think most comfort stations, 3 of the parks, perimeter sidewalks are failing. Um, playgrounds that need to be refurbished. And there's a lot of maintenance concerns that we hear about all the time. So,
Yeah.
So do you want us to present all 25 projects, or should we group them together, kind of lump them so it's a smaller list? I don't know what they're looking for. If you only have a few minutes up there.
Yeah, I don't think that we should try to walk them through everything that we need. I think, but kind of trying to paint it in broad strokes that, we have 20 different parks that are in need of, refurbishment. We have, the X miles of sidewalk that need to be repaired or something along those lines,
Yeah, that would work.
And several bathrooms that need to be refurbished.
Yes,
Yeah, like that.
right.
Do we know, to just kind of drive it, make it seem as important as it is? Do we know how many visitors Shore Road at 79th gets on an average year? So we could say there are 10,000 people in this park between over the course of a year. So like, and only one bathroom that terribly needs to be, or like Chris said, there's X amount of miles of sidewalk that are just to make it seem.
I'm not sure. I know we have data on the Greenway project by Shore Road. I think both in terms of visitors, pedestrians versus cyclists. I think there's some mapping that was done in that report. So that might have some numbers, but I don't know, I have to find out if each individual
But
has
I mean, Parks Department
they might have it, yeah.
Just might make it seem more
Yeah.
hefty. So just saying, we'd like a new bathroom. We like, it's like our parks on average over the course of the year, these conversations are seeing 10,000 visitors across all park goers, or something like that. I don't know.
Any last thoughts on concerns and challenges?
No, that's it for me.
I mean, our biggest challenge is funding.
It's funding,
Yeah.
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 I think number one challenge is funding for both, refurbishments, both capital and expense, both day-to-day expenses and
I mean,
long-term planning,
Yeah, maintenance, et cetera, yes.
right?
funding,
And,
Funding, yeah.
and even enforcement.
yeah.
Enforcement, yeah.
Yeah, so the next slide then would be wish list and vision, which they kind of break down into what does your community need most, what would make the biggest impact, and what would you do with more resources. I feel like we're just talking about that. I mean,
Yeah.
what we need most is money and investment.
Right,
What would we do with it?
right.
Put the money
Money in.
But fix
invest it.
everything.
Right. And what would make the biggest impact would be money. So I guess we can figure out a way to sort of, I mean, I don't mind putting these slides together,
Yeah.
find a way to segue from what we've talked about just now into,
And Henry, I'll send you some of our past PowerPoints that we've done in the last 2 years for capital priorities to just see if some of them are helpful.
Great.
We want to look at the resolution? Because separate and aside from this, they also asked us
Yeah.
to adopt a
Yeah.
resolution.
well, there was one more. If we
Oh,
could
there's
just
one more?
do that,
Okay.
and then we could move to the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
that's fine.
The last one is success story, where they ask us to highlight one thing that's working well, whether that's a recent improvement or a project, a successful program or partnership, a community organizing victory, or an innovative solution.
I mean, the reservations at, is it Russell Peterson or Fort Hamilton High School?
Mhm.
I mean, I go by there all the time. And since it's been redone, I mean, it's bustling with, with people.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, even about the Fort Hamilton athletic field, that was in such bad shape
Yeah.
at one point. And the students from the school got together and they really organized and demanded that it get done. And because parks take so long to do projects, they actually partnered with the school construction authority and were able to get funding and move it a lot
Yeah.
faster.
Hmm.
So between the athletic field being done, the basketball courts, and then the complimentary, I think that really
They have
is.
like these nice tables that they put there where like I've seen there's a group of women that are always having coffee there in the mornings when it's nice out, and then there's students there in the like I've noticed in the mornings, and then like on Saturdays it's just a really nice family.
Yeah.
Like it's packed.
Yeah,
It's so well utilized.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
serves the
yeah.
school and the community. Yeah.
it's still playing after dark and
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example, I guess, of interagency support,
Yes.
Mhm.
which is
I mean, that's the first time I can recall that, it was just it was such a nice thing that the students,
Yeah.
came together and the timeline was moved up so you know, probably a few years, you know, to
Yeah.
get it done quickly, and it's beautiful.
Okay, great.
Mm.
Any other ideas about success stories or,
I think I mean the other is our jewel, the bike path, the shore promenade. Now, you know, part of the Greenway, and there's a lot of grassroots effort there to be part of bigger network, you know, bigger Greenway. Advocacy has led to a lot of state funds for it. I know that work's going to begin soon, you know, along there, and there's going to be some closures along the way, but I think continued advocacy for that, while it's frustrating because it's ongoing, it's important to continue to, because it's just such a valuable piece
Yeah.
of parkland.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
well, that should be enough then to craft some slides. Should we move to the resolution?
Yes,
Sure.
I'll share the resolution. Um, okay, so here's the draft resolution template I have up on the screen.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
It is pretty, it's pretty long. I could read it quickly if you like.
You know, a lot of it is just kind of like stating what the conference is, more or less, you know. Yeah, you could read it really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of whereases, you know.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, what, Chris?
No.
Oh, okay.
Reading, I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, and I'll just read it really quick. Whereas Brooklyn's parks, community gardens, and playgrounds serve as a vital infrastructure that enhances the quality of life for all residents by providing spaces for recreation, environmental education, community gathering, and ecological sustainability. And whereas these green spaces contribute significantly to public health, environmental resilience, climate adaptation, property values, and social cohesion within community district would be ours 10. And whereas effective stewardship of Brooklyn's green spaces require ongoing collaboration between community members, local organizations, government agencies, advocacy groups, and volunteer networks. And whereas the proposed Cultivating Connections Brooklyn Parks and Open Spaces Conference scheduled for March 28th, 26th at the Picnic House in Prospect Park will provide an important platform for knowledge sharing, best practice dissemination, and partnership building among stakeholders dedicated to supporting neighborhood parks, community gardens, and playgrounds. And whereas the inaugural biennial conference is co-organized by the Prospect Parks Alliance, Brooklyn Park and Open Spaces Coalition, and endorsed by the Brooklyn Borough President's Office with organizing committee participation from CB's 9, 16, and 17. And whereas the conference focus on volunteerism and community activism aligns with Community Board 10's commitment to empowering residents as active participants in neighborhood improvement and environmental stewardship. And whereas the biennial format will ensure sustained dialogue and collaboration while allowing adequate time for implementing conference outcomes and measuring progress between sessions. And whereas the conference will address critical issues, including climate resilience, equitable access to green spaces, youth engagement, sustainable maintenance practices, and innovative approaches to community-based environmental stewardship. And whereas each community board will have the opportunity to present their district's green space assets, challenges, and aspirations during a detailed 2-minute presentation, ensuring that local voices shape borough-wide strategies. And whereas Community Board 10 recognizes that healthy, well-maintained green spaces are essential infrastructure that supports the Brooklyn diverse communities and contributes to the borough's overall livability, sustainability, and climate resilience. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Brooklyn CB10 endorses and supports the Cultivating Connections Brooklyn Parks and Open Spaces Conference scheduled for March 28, 2026. Be it further resolved that CB10 encourages local residents, community gardeners, park advocates, educators, youth leaders, and organizations within Community District 10 to participate in this conference. Be it further resolved that CB10 commits to promoting awareness of this conference within our district through regular communications channels, including community meetings, newsletters, website postings, and social media platforms. Be it further resolved that CB10 will prepare and deliver a 2-minute presentation at the conference highlighting our district parks, playgrounds, and community gardens, along with our community's green space concerns, challenges, and vision for the future. And be it resolved that the Community Board 10 Chair and District Manager are authorized to designate a liaison to participate in the Conference Planning Committee and work with conference organizers to identify relevant stakeholders, potential participants, and partnership opportunities within CD10. Be it further resolved that CB10 recognizes this conference as an opportunity to strengthen connections between Brooklyn community boards, foster inter-district collaboration, and contribute to a unified borough-wide strategy for green space stewardship, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution can be forwarded to the conference organizers, all 18 CBs, and relevant community-based organizations in Community Board 10. That's a pretty thorough resolution. What'd you think?
And long.
It was good.
It was good, though.
Yeah, it covers everything. Wow. Yeah, very good.
You know, I thought too, I mean, we really do have a robust volunteer groups in the district, like Narrows Botanic. I mean, you know, I think sometimes we take for granted how, before Narrows Botanic got involved, and even though it's like 30 years now that they've been organizing, is that what that park looked like before and to what it is now. And that's really all volunteerism. And should we lose that, I think there's always that concern that, is there succession in that volunteer base and how do you cultivate that? And, I'm sure all groups, suffer with that, but I think the impacts of losing sustainable volunteer groups in our parks is something that is worth a conversation too. Maybe not for this topic, but maybe in the future, because
Yeah.
it's just so important. And I've seen it at other parks, you've had volunteer groups and they kind of fade away, and
Conservancy.
Shore Road Conservancy is one, the Russell Peterson, they used to be a friends group. Dan Ross has been on and off. So there's been a few over the years. But the biggest success story, I think, in our district is Narrows Botanic Gardens for sure. They just transformed that. I mean, it's incredible.
It's beautiful.
They have a turtle sanctuary and the garden, it's the bees. Yes, it's
I bought a t-shirt.
I think it.
It's a great shirt, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so what did everyone think?
We
Did
have
we?
to vote on it?
So if we want to do that resolution, we could do it at the February meeting. We could just we need a motion to say okay, and we'll just plug in our board and we could share it out to the board in advance. So we could waive the reading at the general board meeting.
Yeah.
Everyone can read it in
that wasn't
advance.
the-
Yes, that's it. Yeah. We'll send that out. So we would just need a motion. We do have a quorum. We would need a second because we don't have an in-person quorum. So if someone wanted to
Yeah.
do that.
I can second.
Well, we need a motion first.
Yeah, we need a
Oh,
motion. Okay. I can't
Everyone
motion.
second.
Oh,
I'll make the motion.
oh,
Okay, thanks, Chris.
All right.
Now I can second.
Okay, Romeo seconds.
All in-
We're voting on this now as a committee.
As a committee,
Even though
yeah.
we're not in quorum, so we'll need a motion.
Oh, we're in quorum.
I mean,
I mean, yes, not in person
So,
quorum. Yes, a second at the full board.
yeah, so all, who want to approve this resolution?
What, is it all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's unanimous.
Great.
All right, so then we'll meet Henry, I guess, next month. Give us some time before the 26th. The March meeting is the 3rd, I think it's the 16th of March. So maybe we'll pick a date before then. It's about 2 weeks in advance of the conference, so
Okay.
well, about 12 days. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
And how do we get into the conference? Do we need to RSVP or is there a special invite? We just show up?
Yeah, well, I'll find that out, Ralph, and I'll send that out to you. I'll reach out to the district manager who shared this information with us. So like this, you could register. And if you could let me know who wants to come. Now, Henry, you're definitely going to be there, right? Anyone else from the committee want to attend that March?
So
I think I'd like to go. I have to check my calendar, but if I'm
Okay, yeah, so let me know, send an email. I think we have some time and like this, I'll make sure we're all, whoever wants to be there is on the RSVP list.
okay.
Sounds good.
All right, great.
Mm.
All right, great.
All right, thanks, everyone.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right,
All
have
right,
a good
thank
night.
you.
All
Good night.
right, bye-bye.